Thom Hartmann here on the best of the rest of economic and labor news. You need to know this. According to UNICEF, even in the world's richest countries, children remain the most enduring victims of the recession. In the last 6 years, 2.6 million more kids have fallen below the poverty line, and more than half of them live right here in the United States. Last week, UNICEF released their annual study, Children of the Recession, which found that more than 76 million children are living in poverty in the 41 wealthiest nations on Earth. The authors of that study said that they were not intending to comment on austerity, but their analysis made clear that the slashing of public services has fueled this rise in child poverty. Nations hit with extreme austerity measures like Greece and Iceland saw the number of kids living in poverty increase by more than 50%. In comparison, the report states, governments that bolstered existing public institutions and programs helped to buffer countless children from the crisis, a strategy that others may consider adopting, end of quote. Enacting huge budget cuts has left many parents out of work in these countries, and the social programs that once kept their families out of poverty have been slashed as well. The stark increase in the number of struggling families is the end result of lawmakers worrying more about budgets than about their citizens, both young and old. This recession and the harsh austerity measures that followed have turned our kids into a generation cast aside, their phrase, and that is simply not acceptable. We must continue to fight for the end of austerity and demand that lawmakers invest in their nations and their people. The children of the world are depending on us. When Congress returns to work this month, they'll see some strong messages at the local subway stop. The AFL-CIO has blanketed the Capital South Metro stop with ads demanding that our lawmakers say no to FastTrack. With several massive trade agreements in the works, lobbyists have been working hard to convince legislators to take trade negotiations out of the hands of anyone who has to answer to the voters. These industry shills want trade arbitrators to have the final say on the secret deals of the TPP and other deals, instead of the lawmakers who are supposed to represent we the people. So the AFL-CIO is running a 4-week ad campaign against these job-killing trade agreements and against Congress giving up their power to negotiate. Corporate lobbyists should not be negotiating deals that affect our economy, our environment, and our jobs. As AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka explained, America's workers simply can't afford more FastTrack, and it's time for Congress to remember that important point. Too many American workers don't get any paid vacation, and those who do often skip out on taking the time off that they're allotted. To fix that problem, one company is trying something different. The job search website company Authentic Jobs is now requiring employees to take at least 27 days off every year. When Cameron Mole founded the company, he instituted an unlimited vacation policy, but many of his workers didn't take off enough time to rest. He found that employees who did not take that vacation time were less productive and less healthy than workers who utilized the paid time off. So he flipped his policy and instituted the mandatory vacation. He explained, "We're saying you need to take off at least 27 days per year, and then beyond that, if you need additional time, feel free to do it." Mr. Mole explained that having a small company with only a few workers allowed him to institute the mandatory vacation time, but he hopes his policy will spread to larger companies. Having rested healthy employees is a benefit to any business, even if they have to force workers to take that much-needed time to relax. You're probably aware that the NSA could be spying on your online communications, but did you know that your snail mail may be being tracked too? According to a recent investigation by the New York Times, state and federal agencies are monitoring our mail way more than they have previously disclosed. The Times reviewed a 2014 Inspector General audit along with documents obtained using the Freedom of Information Act, and found that in 2013 alone, the Post Office approved almost 50,000 requests to image and store the information on the outside of our letters and packages. In comparison, agencies only made about 8,000 requests per year between 2001 and 2012. Although the authorities need a warrant to open the mail, the audit revealed that, quote, "In many cases, the Postal Service approved requests to monitor an individual's mail without adequately describing the reason or having proper written authorization," end quote. Just like the tracking of who and when we're emailing, the data on the outside of our mail can provide authorities with a wealth of information about us. And just like our email, it shouldn't be tracked without a warrant. And finally, the average retail worker only makes about $20,000 a year, but employees at the Container Store earn more than twice that amount. According to CEO Kip Tyndall, his company pays workers an average of $48,000 a year, and they offer annual raises of as much as 8%. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Tyndall explained his theory is that 1 equals 3. He said one great person can easily do the business productivity of 3 good people, which means his business gets 3 times the productivity by paying twice the industry average. The Container Store's high wages actually save the company money in the long run, and their low turnover helps them hang on to great employees. He's helping to show other retailers that paying workers well actually pays off for businesses, and he's working to encourage more companies to pay a living wage. Now imagine what our economy would look like if more business leaders thought like Mr. Tyndall. And that's the way it is for the week of November 3rd, 2014. I'm Thom Hartmann on the Economic and Labor News.